Hi, this is Cheryl Meyer from Rise and Shine CF, and I am so excited to bring to you this segment of the Author's Lane. Every day, actually Tuesday through Friday, we come to you at 3 p.m. with an author that is a different genre. They are sharing their heart, they're sharing their inspiration, and they're sharing their motivation as to why they wrote these books, these literary pieces of work, and actually put them into your hands. And we know that there is always a story behind the story. And so I am excited today to bring to you Cheryl Meyer. And I am going to bring her on now. Cheryl Meyer is the author of It Feels Good to Feel Good. How are you?
I'm terrific. Thank you for doing this. I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, Cheryl, before we start, we actually were connected, and I always share with people the importance of relationships because we were connected via Facebook, a Facebook group where it is Smart Femme authors, Smart Femme authors,
entrepreneurs, and speakers, I think.
Yes, that is exactly where we came in contact with one another. And so thank you for when I reached out to actually say, hey, I would love to do this and to share what it is that you're doing now to help people when they were in a situation much like you experienced years ago. So thank you for joining me for that. So tell us a little bit about your background. Well, first, let me say this. She is a best-selling author. She is a health coach. And she actually, went back to school just to learn more about what we're going to talk about today. So I'm not going to give it all away, but just to be more abreast of what's going on, how people are dealing with it in the past, how they have dealt with it, and how they can actually do it now so that they do feel good again. And so share with us, because you had an experience as to what brought all of this on.
Yeah, I was an entrepreneur. I'd had my own jewelry business for 25 years. I designed silver jewelry with fake stones for all the big box businesses, Macy's, JCPenney, Kohl's, all those people. But I was working 24/7 and I wasn't paying any attention to my body. And it started to tell me that it was reaching its toxic load point, and it just flitted past me and I ignored it until literally I got hit by the 2x4 and couldn't get out of bed because everything in my body hurt. So I went to my doctor and she ran a lot of tests, and I went again and again and again. And after 4 or 5 rounds of tests, she called me and said, Cheryl, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. That's ridiculous. I said, because I hurt. Every muscle, every joint in my body hurt. And she said, well, I'm going to give you steroids, but I want you to get therapy. I went, number one, I'm not taking pills for nothing. That makes no sense to me. I said, and I don't need mental therapy. There's something wrong and I'm going to go find it. So I was lucky. I had a well-seasoned staff. They took over the business and I dug in and I had no clue what I was looking for. I just knew that I hurt and it had to be caused by something. And I was really lucky because I tripped into what's called the functional medicine community, which are full medical doctors, but they've gone for additional expertise in functional medicine. And the difference between conventional and functional is conventional tends to look for your one main complaint and then they match the pill. A functional doctor isn't looking at one organ system. They're looking at the whole body, and they're called root cause doctors. And the reason they all went for functional medicine is because they all got sick and couldn't help themselves. So I watched 19 different symposiums with multiple doctors, and they kept coming back to the same themes. I probably had something called leaky gut. So what the heck was leaky gut? I probably had autoimmune disease, but that was confusing because ends up there's 140 different named diseases under that umbrella, and I didn't seem to exactly fit into any of them. And so I pulled back after watching all these symposiums and started researching the 2 places that I could make impact on my own life quickly. One was to reduce my stress, because I knew I had a lot of chronic stress. I thought it was good for me and making me more productive. Ends
Mm.
up by controlling it, which we'll talk about. I send blood to my brain now with a series of little exercises, so I'm way more productive than I ever was back then. It's
Mm-hmm.
much better to let the steam off that chronic stress before it builds up to that point. And then the second thing I could do is research and start to eliminate toxins in my life. And within 5 years, I had eliminated hundreds of toxins. And I'll give you a quick example. First thing I looked up was my expensive French cosmetics. It was
Ah.
a nine on a 10-point scale. And our skin is our biggest organ. So I was poisoning myself right through my face. So I started to systematically find where things were toxic and replace them in my life.
Okay.
And I found a functional doctor about halfway through this process, and she ran totally different tests from my conventional doctor. The first thing she said to me is, Cheryl, we're going to find it. You're sitting on a tack. Let's find out where that tack is. And little things like my conventional doctor ran an allergy test. She ran a sensitivity test. They're different.
Mm.
The only thing the allergy test found was that I was allergic to the tape that held it on my back. The sensitivity test discovered I had 18 foods that were like kryptonite to me. And when I eliminated them, that was my first giant leap. After eliminating some toxins, that was my next giant leap to feeling better.
Mm-hmm.
So everything she did, my thyroid was checked from here to here. She checked from here to my adrenals. Everything was different. And we started systematically taking care of where my whole body had started to break down. So
Mm-hmm.
between what I had done and her guidance, I am now to a place where I have no pain at all. And she did say I do indeed have autoimmune disease, so that got verified. So I was headed in the right direction. But I decided when I started to feel good again, I was running into people everywhere. I was getting into conversations with women at the grocery store that they were
Mm-hmm.
all having the same experience, and they were all running into a lack of hope that anybody was ever going to hear them and help them. And so I decided, I have a BA in English from Berkeley, but that doesn't give me any credibility to talk about health. And although I had done extensive research for 5 years, I wanted some kind of a certification that I could go into the world and talk about this. So I went to school at 67. And when I was graduating, they asked if I'd like to write a book. And I had kept everything organized in file folders as I found it. So this book was waiting to happen. It wanted to write itself, literally. I started it in November of 2016 and finished it mid-January 2017. And it's 420 pages long.
Wow.
So then it took some time to format it and all that stuff, but
Of
it got
course.
published. And
Absolutely.
that's what launched me. My mission, I sold my jewelry business last year so that I can be all in on health. And my mission is to help other people with chronic illness, because there are a lot of things that you can own yourself and do for yourself that will start to reduce your pain. And so that's my message. I've done 130 guest podcasts in the last year and a half to get my message out. And I just finished my second book, which is okay, Ducky. Now I've eliminated all this stuff from my life. But what do I do when I get out into public? I don't live an isolated life. I don't eat the American standard diet anymore. I eat real
Mm.
food. So to go out with friends has become more complicated. So all of my tips, how do I buy my food? Where do I buy my food? How do I go to a restaurant? How do I do my research before I go to a restaurant? How do I go to somebody's house for dinner? How do I handle the conversation that I'm not going to eat what they make? How do we travel? We've been to Europe twice, and we go back and forth between LA and Sedona all the time. But I will not eat fast foods, so we've had to figure all this out. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really self-defense that I have figured it out. But my doctor tells me that her other patients have not figured it out, and it's tripping them up. So she asks that I write this book. And so it has all of my little tips, and then it goes into how to raise healthy children, because 53% of our kids have chronic illness. And then I go into how to be a good pet guardian because I lost all three of my cats while I was researching toxins for my own health, not realizing that their world had also become very toxic. And I don't want
This
anybody
is
else to
so
go through
very,
that.
this is interesting because this journey of yours has actually led you to changing and your entire lifestyle has
Everything is
just
different.
is different. And a lot of times, I think sometimes individuals are looking for their doctor to,
Right.
share light to what their situations are and now what's the diagnosis so that we can come up with a remedy. And in your
Doctors aren't
situation, they
given
just
any,
did not have
yeah.
that ability to help you in that manner. And you took it into your own hands.
Well, and what I recommend, doctors are not given anything nutritional in medical school. They get less than half a day. So if you ever had a doctor say to you, hey, you need to lose weight, and you go, fine, what do I do? They don't know. That's not part of what they've learned. And
Mm,
so we want them to be God. I call them the who said of the greatest magnitude. And they can't be. So
right.
you have to own your own health. And what I recommend is you do enough research so that you can have robust conversations with your medical professional. I'm not a medical professional, and neither are you, but you can find enough to ask the right questions
Mm,
and to own it yourself. Don't give the power over. And I'm a huge believer in functional medicine now because I'd like to think it's the future of medicine, but there's not as much money in it because they can give you pills, but that's not their number one thing that they look for. They try to do something holistic to help you first, which
mm.
I think is the right approach, but there's not enough money in it for it all to switch over to that.
So,
But
it would
yeah,
just behoove someone to take their own health into their hands, and it goes to say when you're not feeling well, you know your body. And so if someone says, well, you should be fine, and you know that you're
you're
not
not.
fine, that there's something wrong, that you have to literally start looking because you initially went to foods, which is typically our first, that's our first rule of thumb is, okay, what are you eating?
And believe it
And
or not, that's a good place to start. There's a tremendous amount of toxins on our food.
mm-hmm. And then you touched on something else too that got me thinking, and that is, what we put on our bodies, what we put on our face, our soaps, our makeups, our deodorants, all
Yep.
of that comes
I've had
into
an
play.
itchy scalp for 25 years. Little did I know it was because of the toxins in my shampoo that my body
Mm,
was reacting to. And when I started this 8 years ago, there were not very many low toxin products available on the market, but there are now. There are new low toxin products coming out every day. So don't accept that. My eyes were either itchy or they were watering. There are low toxin mascaras. My
mm-hmm.
underarm deodorant was either making me rash or making me blister. These were all signs that my toxic load was building up, which is something that functional doctors talk about a lot because it starts in your gut. But if you're not aware of it, you don't know that that's what's causing that issue. I did
Mm.
find a very low toxin underarm deodorant that was made by a woman with MS, which is another autoimmune disease. She made it out of self-defense for herself, and now she has a little empire for this clay-based essential oil deodorant. Um, there are alternatives, and don't accept that you're going to have to be on pain and pills forever because that's not necessarily true.
And it seems like it would also, and the rule of thumb also, right, is to get another opinion
Right,
of a different type of doctor. Because if you go
right,
back to the same type of a doctor, just a different face,
right,
right, chances are he or she will say the same thing. So now you took all of that information and you put it into this book.
right. And it covers everything. It covers our food. It covers over-the-counter medications, which I do not take any of anymore. I have found alternatives that are gifts to the body as well as gifts to whatever the problem is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I went into what we cook our food in and on and how we store it because plastic is toxic. And those Teflon, oh, I had a hard time giving up my Teflon fry pan because I loved that nothing stuck to it until I read that there were no birds where the Teflon factory was, because they had all died from the toxic fumes from that
Wow.
factory. And there was just a movie that came out because all the people in the community were dying of cancer. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so, and it's not just that it's the toxin of the Teflon, little pieces of that are breaking off and going into your body and poisoning you. So all of that stuff is gone from my life. Water. We think that Flint, Michigan is unusual. Guess what? There are lots of cities in America that have all kinds of icky stuff coming out of their tap.
Mm.
And from pharmaceuticals that people put down the toilet to all of the bug sprays and toxins sprayed on our crops, atrazine, toxic metals, that's all coming out of our faucets. So you need to get at least on your kitchen sink an inexpensive filter under your sink that takes all that out. And then you don't
Okay.
want to be drinking it out of plastic. Plastic is 1,200 times more, plastic water bottles. It's less regulated than what comes out of your tap. It's putting little beads of plastic into the water and it's leaching chemicals. So I drink all my water out of stainless steel now. And
Interesting. You've just changed my way of thinking about things. I'm looking at my water bottle over here on my desk going, oh, wow.
what do I
Okay.
do when I'm going to be gone too long to just drink one bottle of water? We bought big jugs that are stainless. The water stays cool inside them, so we
Mhm.
refill our own bottles. In the end, it amortizes the cost of the bottles really quickly and starts saving you money that you're doing that too.
That is so interesting. So, oh my gosh, guys, listen, this book is so fascinating because, especially if you are one of those individuals that you know there's something going on within your body and you can't pinpoint what it is, the doctors can't pinpoint what it is, don't make yourself feel like, you're losing your mind
Because
or,
you're not.
something is wrong. You're not. This is when you have to take control, to what you said, take power,
Right.
um,
You own the power.
right,
Nobody
of
else
your
owns it
health,
but you.
and
And
get this book and at least look through the book. Man, this is interesting stuff, because a lot of things that we have within our homes that we just aren't aware of are
right.
probably causing a toxic environment. And I guess, depending on how your immune system is,
It
combating it, that
builds
it
up.
might not hit you at certain times.
Yeah, it can take up to 20 years to build up. When I
Wow.
speak, people come up to me and go, yeah, this is all fine and well, but I'm healthy. I don't need this information. Oh, yes, you do. I have
Hmm.
a blog on my website called 20 Hidden Signals That You're Not as Healthy as You Think,
Nice.
because I missed them all. Little things like I would get up in the morning and look in the mirror, and some days I was all puffy, and some days I thought I looked good. Guess what? That was inflammation. And
Wow.
so, when you start getting little aches and pains, I'm now 71. When you start getting little aches and pains, you think that's normal. It's not. You don't have to put up with that. If you're
Mm.
getting GERD all the time and you're not digesting your food properly, that's connected to probably toxins. And when the toxins of all different kinds get into your gut, they interrupt your digestion and start leaking through the gut wall, which is only one cell thick, which means your body does what it's supposed to do. It goes into hyperaction and screams, attack, foreigner. And then your body mimics wherever you're weak. And that's what your body's system attacks. For me, it was my
Mm.
muscles and my joints. Might have been thyroid and become Graves' disease or Hashimoto's for somebody else. Could even cause cognizance issues, Parkinson's and Alzheimer's,
Hmm.
IBS and all the lower intestinal problems. MS and lupus are when you don't react and it goes further and really starts to interrupt your body. But it's important, if any of this is happening to you, that you react as quickly as possible, because there's
Hmm.
something called multiple system autoimmune disease, where if you don't deal with it, you don't end up with one, you end up with two, and then three, and then four. I was lucky because I was very proactive and I attacked it quickly. So don't wait, own it. Start to research. And the beginning of my book gives you my whole history. How did I come to start doing this? What is a
Okay.
health coach? What is functional medicine? What is autoimmune disease? I explain all of it. And I just revised the book so that it's under the whole umbrella of things that toxins impact. Cancer, autoimmune disease, and heart disease. Our chronic illnesses all start probably with inflammation in the gut. So if you start to
So,
clean that up, you can clean, and the body wants to heal. So if you start giving it good building blocks, it is really going to support you and starts to
mm,
feel good, and you'll feel the difference, which is why I named the book It Really Feels to Feel Good,
I love
because
that
it
title
does.
too.
It does.
Wow, this is so interesting. To even have access to this kind of information, where you now have the ability to even, formulate some questions that you can now ask your medical doctor so
Right.
that you get some answers. Because sometimes I think too, it's just, you don't know how to ask the question because you're not sure what the question is or what the question should be.
And they're trained to hear the first problem and match the pill to it. So
Hmm.
I used to leave my conventional doctor, oh, I forgot to tell her this and this and this and this. Well, that was programmed that way. An average doctor appointment is 6 to 10 minutes. My
Mm-hmm.
average appointment with my functional doctor is 45. And I come with information, she comes with information, and we have a robust conversation and then decide how to move forward. You may not get that from your conventional doctor, but you can at least have the robust conversation and question what you're finding.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even a great book out called Drug Muggers. I have diabetes. My metformin pulls all kinds of things out of my body that I need. It lowers my magnesium, and we all are having a hard time getting enough magnesium in the first place. So my metformin is actually causing my body to be deficient in things. That's important to know because then you add those things back in. But you need
Mm.
to take a very proactive approach to your body so that you're sure your body's getting what it needs.
Yeah, and I think that's, it's so important and interesting because you started talking about in your book, there's also a way on how to help your kids,
Hmm.
which
In
is
my
just
second book, I
the
attack
one
that
that's
directly
okay, because
because I'm
that
upset that
is,
53% of them have illness. That's
yeah,
horrible.
and that is so important because when you lead by example, right, it starts with you, and your kids start to see you changing how you're eating and you're talking about it, you're
Right.
having the conversations, then
And
it
you're
helps them
preparing
to
them.
be able to tell you how they're feeling. And when they're not feeling well, and we always assume it's a stomach ache because you must have eaten something, where it could literally be something else. And
Right.
so to have those kind of conversations is great. Now, you have this book is available on Amazon, guys. So
Yes.
it is available on Amazon. You can
And
get the
if
book.
you buy this book, email me. My email address is all over the book because I give you a workbook. Because the
Okay.
initial people who read it said, it's overwhelming. I can't do this. Yeah, you can. You read, as you're reading my book, you're writing down what you're finding is toxic in your life. And you don't replace it till you run out of the old item. When you run out of the old item, you look up what to replace it with that's lower toxin. And in 5 years, you will have eliminated all the toxins that I did. It doesn't, it's about toxic load. So each thing you lower the toxicity on is one step closer to health. And so
And
you
so
do it
it's okay if you
systematically.
don't do it all at once because
Yeah,
it
you
can
can't.
be overwhelming to just do a
Mhm.
life shift where you are literally like turning your world upside down within 24 hours.
Right. Yeah, and you don't need to do that. You just want to be heading in the right direction instead of the wrong direction. Because once it topples over into chronic disease, there's no going back. I don't have pain today, but I will always have autoimmune disease. And that comes with its own set of problems. So you want to catch it before you topple over that wall. You want to catch it in the beginning or as close to the beginning as possible so that you can live healthy, keep your mind, which is, now that I'm
Mhm.
71, that's become more important. You want to keep your cognizance and you want to grow old with peace and with vitality. So,
Absolutely. And and to feel good.
Yep.
You know, when you wake up in the morning or, you know, during the day, to even
It's
feel
worth
good
everything.
about, you know, what you're able to do and what you're doing. So Cheryl, thank you so much for coming on today to share this with us.
Thank you.
Now,
Thank you.
you have this book, and there is a workbook attached to this book.
Right. And then I have the second book about how do I live in society this way? How do I go to people's houses for dinner and to cocktail
Mm,
parties? And how do we travel and all of that stuff? And that book is just about to be published on Amazon, and it's called Feeling Good, Living Low Toxin in Community. I even
that
talk
is
about what to do for
amazing.
bugs in there, because
Oh my gosh.
that was something to figure out.
And you know what's amazing about that is because that is the other huge piece to that is, okay, I
Mhm.
can, you know, I can control my house and I can control what I cook. I can control, you know, things that I allow in my house, plants and all types of things. But when you go out to someone else's home or when you go out to a restaurant, how do you maintain,
Right. And
you
you're
know,
not going to dictate to anybody else that they have to live your way. You just are
exactly.
going to do it by example. And it's amazing how many of our friends have started to shift towards healthier.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to tell them what to do. You're just going to tell them what you're going to do. If I go to somebody else's house for dinner, I take a dish that everybody can eat, but so that we have something we can eat too.
Yeah,
I,
there you
I go for community because I want to be there because I love those people.
mm-hmm.
What I put in my mouth has nothing to do with that.
Right.
But that's a mindset change.
Yeah, it truly is, to think that you can't go out because, you know, you have all of these other pieces, or it's like going to a restaurant and you have special orders. Well, they have special menus now, you know, for
Right.
individuals, and they make
It's getting
exceptions
easier.
because they understand that people are looking differently at what they eat, how much of something they eat, and, you know, that balanced meal. What does that truly look like for the individual? So thank you so much for sharing this on the Author's Lane.
Thank
I am
you.
so excited, guys. You never know who you're going to meet on the
And
Author's Lane.
I'm thrilled. This has become my mission. And that's an important part of health as you age. You need to have passion for something. And this is
Yes.
what I have passion for.
And I am sure that this book is loaded with some valuable information for you to be able to have an educated conversation, a knowledgeable conversation with your physician, and then to even look and see if maybe a functional doctor is someone that you want to even try to find, locate, at least have a consultation with.
And I tell you how to find them. You can go to IFM, um, which is for functional medicine, the Institute of Functional Medicine, ifm.org. You put your zip code in, and any functional medicine doctor in your area will pop up. But
Awesome.
I
I'm
will,
going to put that in the comments too, because I think that's great to have that information and have that as a resource
right.
to be able to do
They
that.
don't all take insurance, but I called every single one in the Los Angeles area and I found one an hour away. Now, this was 8 years ago and I love her, so I'm not changing. There are more
Mm-hmm.
now, but I drive an hour to see her and mine does take insurance. I called all their office managers and asked who took insurance, and lots of them did not, but you can, if you put your head to it, you can find them.
Well, I think that if you are in this predicament, this is a great book for you to start. If you just don't know where to start, and sometimes that's what we have is that we just don't know where to start.
Right.
And so this is an opportunity for you to have that starting point. So It Feels Good to Feel Good is available on Amazon. It is by Miss Cheryl Meyer, and there is a series of books that you can find with her. She is also going to share with us something that, you know, when you talk about stress and you talk about how stress plays a huge, huge impact on our health, on our mental state, on, you know, our conscious thinking and all things that we want to accomplish. Stress plays a huge part of it.
Yeah, and it's actually part of leaky gut. It causes you not to properly digest your food. And
Mm.
so it pokes up against that wall and gets food that goes through in the wrong size as well. I just published a little desktop book called 2 Minute Exercises to release it throughout the day. I did it as a little desktop book because you can pick any exercise in this book at any point that you start to bog down, and it will bring blood back up to your brain, make you more productive, and take the steam off the top of the crock pot. So you need to do these on a regular basis. I had so much stress that I thought was good for me. I was almost to Addison's disease. I had no
Mm.
cortisol left in my body at all. So this book also is everything I learned to bring my cortisol back up and my stress back down. Stress impacts every organ in your body, and it's not good. It's a mechanism so that we could get away from a tiger, and that tiger almost caught and ate me. And so you don't want to do that. You want to let it off regularly
Mhm.
through the day. And I promise you, I would teach one exercise that I use
Yes.
all the time. And you can do it anywhere, and it takes no equipment. I use the Dr. Andrew Weil 478 breathing exercise. And you can
Mhm.
actually look that up on YouTube and do it with him. He was the father of integrative medicine. And it's just where you breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then you whoosh it out of your mouth with your tongue up against your teeth for 8, and you do 4 rounds of that. And what it does is it resets your parasympathetic nervous system at the back of your head, which is called your reptilian brain. It was the first
Mhm.
part of the brain in development. And I do it in LA traffic while I'm driving out to my functional doctor because I hate it every time when I went in, my blood pressure was high and my pulse was racing. I now have a better pulse and a better blood pressure than any other patient she works with. And she can't get over it. And it's because I do this exercise the whole time I'm driving out there. So it works, and I have proof that it works. And it's a
Awesome.
really easy thing to learn.
And so share it with us again. What's the technique?
You breathe in for 4, you hold it for 7, and then you put your tongue up against the top of your teeth and whoosh it out. And you whoosh it out to a count of 8. It doesn't matter if you do it fast or slow, it's the
Mhm.
cadence that resets your stress. So it's 4, 7, 8.
There you go. You listen, this has been a knowledgeable, informational, valuable segment here. And I am so excited to be able to bring this to you because I am a huge advocate for health and understanding your health better. I don't believe people should be on pills for a lifetime. There are always so many natural things that you can do.
Right.
So I'd love to be able to share this book. So thank you for bringing this book to my attention. And guys, you got to go on Amazon. That's all it is to it. You have to go on Amazon. You've got to get this book. It feels good to feel good. It helps you when you are trying to figure out what it is that you're ailing from, you're not feeling good from, and you just can't figure it out, and no one else seems to be able to.
And I talk about stress and sleep and anxiety and toxic relationships and toxic lack of movement, because
Mm-hmm.
that's all part of the health of your body. And those are all toxins that impact you. So it's all there in one book.
Well, you have it there, and I am so excited to be able to bring this to you. So, guys, you got to go to Amazon and you have to get the book. Thank you, Cheryl, for joining
Thank you
us.
so
I am
much.
so excited that you came to visit us. So, don't you go anywhere. I am just going to say goodbye to everyone. So, guys, thank you so much for joining us today. It Feels Good to Feel Good by Cheryl Meyer. Definitely get the book. It's available on Amazon. It is a great book for you to look at your health, for you to maintain health, to maintain a healthy immune system, and to be able to look at your surroundings and the things that you do and see how you can have control of your own health by eliminating the toxins that you have surrounding you. So definitely get the book on Amazon. Write a review. Authors love to have reviews. I always ask that. So I'm asking you to get the book, write a review, and look for the other books. There is the one coming behind this that is about the society. How do you actually go out
Oh, I
into the
love it.
world now that you have this new lifestyle that you have adjusted to? And you definitely want to make sure that as you move about, you carry that with you. So get the book, look it up, follow Cheryl Meyer She has a website I'm going to put into the comments where you actually get to follow her, get more information. Again, she is also a health coach, so you might be interested in getting some insights that are a little more than what she was able to share on this segment. So definitely look for that information also. In the meantime, have an amazing day, and please come back and join us Tuesday through Friday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will have a new author that will share their inspiration, their heart, their message about their book. So thank you for joining us. Have an amazing day.